Nowadays, everyone knows that doing wrong things to gain someone's love is not right. But sometimes people do things without thinking it through. That's what happened to Luke. He decided to kidnap Rose, preventing her from marrying a man she didn't love, hoping that she would end up falling in love with him. It was a warm, starry night. The sky was full of bright stars, looking like diamonds spread across an immense dark blanket. Fate was about to weave a story that no sensible person would think was normal. Luke, a powerful and respected man, walked through the dark halls of his palace. Despite his serious expression, his mind was filled with confused thoughts and his heart felt lonely, desiring more than just power and riches. Across town, in a simple house, Rose was preparing for what was supposed to be the happiest day of her life. She was dressed in a beautiful white silk dress and wore sparkling jewelry. Rose was looking forward to the moment of marrying Samir, a man with a good family and wealth. But deep in her heart, she knew that she didn't really love him. As she was getting ready to take this important step, something unexpected was about to happen. But first, let's go back in time a little and understand the story of Luke and Rose. Their paths crossed for the first time a few months earlier, when Luke was visiting the city for a cultural event. Luke loved classical music and had been to a concert. During the break, he was strolling through the gardens when he saw Rose for the first time. She was playing the violin on a small stage set up in the garden, and her music was so beautiful that Luke was enchanted. After the concert, Luke approached Rose and praised her performance. They started talking and discovered they had many things in common, especially their love of music and culture. Luke was completely smitten with Rose, but she only saw him as a friendly acquaintance. Rose was polite and kind, but she didn't feel the same way about him. The days passed and they didn't see each other again until the day before the wedding, when the sun was rising and the sky was all colorful. Luke's palace was a mess. Everyone was talking about a crazy decision that Luke had made. He was consumed by unrequited love. He spent sleepless nights thinking about her. He couldn't bear the thought of Rose living an unhappy life. He desperately wanted to show her that life could be different, that she could truly be loved. Luke didn't have time for Rose to get to know him before she married Sam. So, he had a crazy idea. He decided to interrupt the wedding and take her to her palace, hoping that, by living with him, she would fall in love in the same way he was in love with her. At Rose's house, there was also a lot of confusion. As the women rushed to organize the wedding, with no idea what was to come, something incredible happened. Suddenly, Rose and Luke's destinies crossed again. Like a hunter waiting for the right moment, Luke appeared at Rose's door with his guards. "What's going on?" he asked Rose, his heart pounding with fear and curiosity. Luke stepped forward, his massive presence filling the room. "Rose, come with me," he ordered, his deep voice echoing. Rose was shocked and outraged. "What do you mean? I'm about to get married." But Luke didn't give up. He ordered the guards to surround her and lied. "His parents agreed to our marriage. Now you are my bride." Just imagine, Rose felt as if the ground disappeared beneath her, as if the whole world was going crazy in front of her eyes. She fought the guards with all her strength, but it was as if she were trapped in an invisible trap, unable to escape the fate Luke had planned for her. And then, in a bunch of things happening at once, Rose was dragged out of the house and taken to Luke's palace, leaving behind everything she knew and loved. What Rose didn't know, guys, was that Luke had fallen in love with her from the moment he saw her at that concert in the city. From afar, his heart was already beating hard for her. He discovered that she was the daughter of a simple merchant in the city, promised to marry a guy named Sam, just because he had money. In the days after Rose's abduction, Luke's palace was a mess, filled with the energy of a bride who didn't want to be there at all. Rose resisted this new life with all her strength, full of anger at the man who took her from her family. But Luke wouldn't let it shake him. With a lot of patience and affection, he tried to win her heart, showing her a world of luxury and comfort that she never dreamed existed. Luke took Rose to his palace, but she wasn't happy about it at all. Every time she had to be around him, at meals or at events, she treated him with contempt. And when he looked at her with a passionate look and said nice things, she turned her face away and scowled. He waited patiently for a chance to show her how much he loved her, but all she felt was anger at him for taking her away from home. A month passed and Luke failed to win over Rose. So, he had an idea: to use the desert moonlight, which he thought would be able to melt even a hard heart like hers. On a lovely night, with the moon casting its glow over the desert, Luke invited Rose to share a special moment on the porch. Under the twinkling stars, he played one of her favorite classical songs. As the melody enveloped them, Luke looked into Rose's eyes tenderly, trying to express all her love. Rose, initially resistant, began to feel her heart melt in the face of that magical atmosphere. My friends, after Luke realized that his kidnapping plan didn't bring the desired result, he decided to make amends for his mistakes in a kinder way, by offering Rose the opportunity to return home. Luke knew he would have to return Rose to her parents the next day, but he wanted to make the most of this moment. He wanted it to be special, something that she would keep in her heart forever, as a symbol of the love he had for her. He had the power to win her, but what he really wanted was her love, something that could only be given freely. As the song played, Luke couldn't hold back the tears that silently escaped his eyes. He had never loved someone like that. Rose, despite feeling the intensity of the moment, remained silent. The atmosphere around them was magical: the starry night, the bright moon, and the immersive music. Luke, the handsome, rich and powerful guy, was there in front of her, holding back a stubborn tear of love. When the music stopped, he released everything he was holding back. "Rose, I did everything to show you my love. But it seems like nothing worked. I stopped you from marrying someone you didn't love. I showed you my love. Even bringing you to my palace by force, I never wanted you to feel like a prisoner. I hoped that one day you would love me like I love you. But it didn't work out." Rose listened silently as he spoke. And then, he continued, But you are not my prisoner. From now on, you are free to return to your home whenever you want." And with these words, he closed. Upon hearing about his freedom and the chance to return home, Rose stood up, smiled at him, and said a heartfelt "Thank you so much, Luke." And she left. The next morning, Rose came home with a smile on her face. Her parents were relieved to learn that Luke hadn't crossed any boundaries with her, and that she could still marry Sam. Sam was informed that his bride was intact and, beaming with happiness, rescheduled the wedding. But, my friends, Luke hadn't touched Rose's body, but he had touched her soul in a profound way. The memory of the night before, of the full moon shining in the sky, the soft music playing and the lone tear falling from Luke's eye, wouldn't leave her mind. She felt confused by all these emotions. The wedding was scheduled for 2 days from now. Sam, her fiancé, was happy to reschedule the ceremony. The parents were relieved that their daughter was back, and Rose. Well, Rose was sad? Yes, my friends, Rose was sad. She fought so hard to resist Luke that she didn't realize that her heart had already begun to give way. Rose was madly in love with that boy, Luke. Even though he was powerful and capable of imposing his will, he begged for her love. Her thoughts bubbled. Now I desire you, my charming Luke. You have won my heart. But what do I do now? Think, Rose. I need to find a solution. And so she spent the whole night thinking. The next morning, on the eve of her wedding to Sam, she made a decision and escaped to Luke's palace. When he saw her coming, he came running to her, asking with concern, "What happened, Rose? Why did you come back? Did you leave something important behind?" And she, looking at him intensely, overflowing with love as much as he did for her, replied, "Yes, I did, my dear Luke. I let a true and intense love escape at that moment when we were listening to those songs. But could it still be true? There is hope?" He smiled and hugged her, saying, "True love always finds its way. Will you marry me and we can be together forever?" With a kiss full of passion, Rose and Luke consolidated their love. Rose's parents, initially hesitant, soon noticed the happiness on their daughter's face. They gave their blessing to the couple, recognizing the strength of the love that united them. Thus, Rose and Luke lived happily ever after in the desert palace, under the glow of the moon and the sound of music, nurturing an eternal and deep love. What started very wrong ended in a happy ending for everyone. Except for Sam, who saw his fiancée escape again at the last minute. Thank you for joining us on another exciting story. If you liked it and want more content like this, don't forget to like and follow our YouTube channel. This way, you don't miss any special moments. To the next.